The Polyglot Gathering is brought to you by italki. Become fluent in any language.
Can barely hear myself. Hello? All right, good. How's everyone doing today? Great. All right, so today I'm going to talk about how to get Superman-like willpower to achieve fluency. But before that, does anybody know what Edwin challenge is?
Yeah, I have
Can you raise your hands if you know what the Edwin challenge is? Okay, good. Who have done that one challenge? Good, great. The reason why I start this way is because for the last 2 years I've been doing talks. I just come here and share what I learned about that one challenge and how it can help you and stuff like that. And then when I finish, the first question that people ask me is like, what the heck is the Edwin challenge? So I want to get that out of the way first before I go. So I'm going to take like a minute to share what the Edwin challenge is. So what the Edwin challenge is basically to help you to level up your willpower so that you can actually study consistently to get the goal that you want. And the goal that we shoot for is a 15-minute conversation in 90 days. 15-minute conversation in 90 days. And one cool thing we do is we give away a free round-trip ticket, one free round-trip ticket to the person that wins to the target language countries. So they learn for 90 days, and one person have a chance to win, and then they go to fly to that country to experience the culture, eat the food, practice, talking to people. So we just gave away a flight ticket yesterday to Gay for Edwin Challenge Finale number 12 with the help with Alex and Richard. And that's her expression. Yes, she's quite happy. Yes. So I've been doing this for the last 2 years now. More than 1,000 people have done the Edwin challenge. So today I'm going to share with you what I learned from just running this community on how you can get Superman-like willpower so you can achieve the fluency that you want. Is that cool? Yeah. All right, cool.
Where did she go?
Where did what?
Where did she go?
Where did she go? She didn't go anywhere.
No, but she won. Where?
She's going to Egypt.
Oh.
Yeah. So we haven't talked about it yet, but yes. So what is willpower? Anybody? What is willpower? Motivation. Okay.
Ability to speak in more proficiency. Ability to speak more proficiency at advanced speed.
Okay. What specifically? What is willpower?
Persistence.
Persistent. Yes.
Perseverance.
Perseverance. Discipline. Yeah. So willpower will give you those things, right? So the definition of the willpower is the ability to control yourself and determine your action. The ability to control yourself to determine your action. And with this determination, that allows you to do something difficult. Okay? So I want you to pay attention to two words, very important. Willpower is always associated with an action and a task, something. Because you can say I have a huge amount of willpower, but if you're not trying to do anything or to achieve anything, nobody would know if you have a huge amount of willpower. So it's always associated with your action and a task so that you can measure and see if you have willpower or not. Does that make sense? Great. So to take a closer look to action and the task in relation to willpower, we have the willpower quadrant. Yes. So everybody, do you guys have a paper and pen? I want you to write down a big cross in the middle and 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, you actually have to do something in this talk. All right, so since willpower is always associated with an action and a task, whatever the task is usually, it will fall into one of these 4 quadrants, whatever the task is that you want to do. The first quadrant is something that's not pleasant and not useful. Can anybody give me an example in terms of language learning that's something not pleasant and not useful for you?
Grammar.
Well, it's useful, right? No. Well, yes?
Learning vocabulary that doesn't stick.
Learning vocabulary, but learning vocabulary that doesn't stick. In terms of,
pleasant.
It's not pleasant.
Frustrating.
But vocabulary, the task that you're in hand, learning vocabulary is useful. So for example, if you're trying to learn, yes?
Learning vocabulary you don't need.
Learning vocabulary you don't need. So it's not useful, it's not pleasant. Very good. And the next one I can think of is learning how to speak Mandarin backwards. You know, it's not pleasant, it's not useful. So that's one category. The second quadrant is something that's pleasant and not useful. Like Homer here. Well, can you give me an example of something that's not pleasant? Oh, that's pleasant and not useful in terms of language learning.
Watching TV.
Watching TV, like in your target language. Okay. Now, the important thing is everybody look at this differently. There's no right or wrong answer, because something that's not useful for you could be very useful for me. Right? So just look it for yourself and see what's pleasant and not very useful for you. So maybe watching TV is not very useful for him, but it could be yes.
Buying foreign language resources that you probably won't read.
Okay, buying, is that pleasant? Something about buying language learning resources that you don't need or you don't use. I mean, how many people have dust collecting on your language learning materials? Yes, yes, you're not alone, yes. Great, yes. And it's pleasant to buy, but not very useful, you don't use it. Great, perfect, thank you. The next quadrant is something that's not pleasant, but useful. Grammar. Okay, there you go. What else?
Read the books of this language. Read the books writings
Reading books.
of this language. That's what you are learning.
Okay, got it. Could be not pleasant, but useful. Okay, you find it useful. Okay, great.
Writing.
One more time. Writing. Writing. Okay, great. Something's not pleasant, but it could be very useful. You know how to write and read, of course. And the last quadrant is something that's pleasant and useful. So what's pleasant and useful for you? Picking up girls in a language that's pleasant and useful, great. Hence the pretty word here, great. Yeah, what else?
Doing grammar exercises.
Doing grammar exercises, great. So it's pleasant and useful for him. Good, everybody is different, right? And these things can change too, you know? It just because it's pleasant and useful for you right now, it doesn't mean stay there forever, right? So it's okay. It's just taking a closer look of your task and how you feel about it. So are we clear on what the quadrants are? Great. So now I want you to take 3 minutes to put down your language learning task in the appropriate quadrant in the language you're learning right now. In your chart, so start writing down, allocating the task in the correct quadrant for you right now in this moment. Is this clear? Not clear? Okay, it's clear. So if you think grammar is very useful for you, but it's not pleasant, you put it in number 3. If you think speaking is very pleasant and useful, you put it in quadrant number 4. If you think watching anime is very pleasant, but you watch too much of it, it's not very useful, you put it in number 2. It's like, look up when you're done. All right, finish up. All right, finish up. All right, look up when you finish up. All right, good, cool. So, which quadrant do you think requires the most willpower? Not talking about number one because we just won't do it all, like they just disappeared. So which quadrant would require most willpower for you? Number 3. And in life, if anything's worthwhile to do, what do you think, where do you think it's the task usually in? What quadrant? Well, I hope so. That would be great if everything that's worthwhile to do. Most of the things, because number 4 is quite easy, you just kind of do it, right? But along the way, there will be a lot of tasks that are not very pleasant, but very useful to do something that, whatever you want to achieve in life, that's worthwhile. So a lot of things are very useful, are in this quadrant. Are you guys following me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So now our goal is to do less of the things that are not useful and pleasant, like, going on Facebook, it's completely useless. To move it to doing something that's pleasant. For example, you change your Facebook setting to your target language. That becomes a little bit more useful and present, right? So you think about how you can move from the quadrant number 2 to quadrant number 4, or you do more of something that's not pleasant but useful. Are you guys clear the intention, the goal is? Is that clear? Yeah. But how, okay? How do you do this? So, I'm going to give you the law of willpower. There's only one law, so nothing to hard. It's not hard to memorize. Anybody can remember this. This is the law of the willpower. Okay. The law of willpower is that when you complete a task at a time that you say you complete it, your willpower will increase. And if you don't complete a task at the time that you complete it, your willpower will decrease. That's what's going to happen. Is this clear? Simple? Great.
Can you give us an example?
If I say, very good, thank you. If I say I'm going to study 30 minutes a day, today, and I did it, my willpower goes up because I did whatever I need to do to actually fulfill those 30 minutes. Despite the circumstances, despite how I feel, because we feel differently every day, right? Sometimes you feel like doing something, you feel like don't feel like doing something, but despite all that, you completed what you say you'll do. So in essence, then your willpower increases. If you say to yourself, I'm going to study 30 minutes a day, and if you don't do it, your willpower will decrease, because then next time you go like, oh, last time I said I'll do 30 minutes, I didn't do it, so why would I do it this time? Do you guys see that? So it's just the law of willpower, that once you complete the task when the time that you say you're going to do it, your willpower will increase, and if you don't do it, it will decrease. So I'm going to give you 5 hacks to actually how to do it, okay? So the first hack is a big why. Why do you need to do the task? So for me, I was in my own Edwin challenge to learn Japanese, and I knew that I'm going to be cycling across Japan 3 months later. And then I know that in the area, since I'm cycling across, there are many areas that people can't speak English. And so that I have a very clear why, and I can feel it, I can see it when I'm talking to people, when I'm there and interact and connect with people. So not only do you have to have a big why and very clear why you're doing the task that you're doing, at the same time, it's very useful that when you forget why, you have some kind of task or some kind of mechanics that will remind you, because it's going to happen, right? Things are going to happen, you're going to forget why you're doing what you're doing in the first place. So not only that you need a really clear why, and also how you can get back to your why when you lose it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Number 2, start small but gradually and build gradually. What happens, people in the At One challenge, is that they get really excited. I'm going to study 3 hours a day, 5 days a week for 90 days. So the first 3 days they do 3 hours, Yeah, I feel good. I feel good. And then what happens? They eventually stop because it's so hard, right? Remember, the second part of the law is that your willpower will decrease once you don't do it. So that doesn't serve you. So remember to start small and build gradually. Even if it's small things, even if like, okay, I'm gonna wake up today, I'm gonna wake up every day for 5 days a week and fix my bed. Or break a small match. Just because of these small things, your willpower will increase. So start small and build gradually. Okay? Number 3, you need a start time and end time. If you say you're gonna do an hour a day for 5 days a week with an open-ended, then when are you gonna end? So since there's no end, your mind goes into like, oh man, every day for an hour? So it feels like a lot of pressure. Now most likely you won't do it eventually. But if you say, I'm going to study an hour a day just this week, it feels a lot lighter. Can you feel it? It's a completely different world. So it's very important for you to create a start time and an end time with the task that you create for yourself. And hack number 4 is to tie whatever task that you have to an existing habit. Any other ideas? Anybody? For example, if I go to the toilet, number 2, and I can tie it to something like learn one vocab. Or make something fun, like if I see a taxi riding by, I will open my Duolingo or something, So, does that make sense? Anybody have any idea of tying to an existing habit? Yes?
Listen to audio while you walk to work.
Very good, listening to audio when you walk to work.
Or while you are having lunch.
Or while you're having lunch, so tying what you want to do when you're eating. Great.
Listen to usual conversation between man and person in this country. Listen to a conversation, a regular conversation between people in this country.
Listen to people's conversation in this country.
I talk other conversational vocabulary, how to speak, how to use these words, which kind of word you use.
Okay, for this to work, you need to just, because you're trying to make it easier for you to do the task, right? It's just gotta be something very simple. That's something that you're already doing, like walking, eating, right? And then you just like, okay, when I'm walking, I do this, so that. And then you actually do it, then you increase your willpower. You see why this is useful? Yes?
That was like having a conversation through an app while I go shopping.
Great.
I do that all the time.
Great, perfect. You're tying to an existing habit so that you to learn at the same time.
And I shop a lot.
And you shop a lot. Not so sure that's good, but yes. Okay, whatever works for you, man. All right. The last one is tell everyone. So what happens if you don't tell anybody? If you don't do it? Huh?
You need support sometimes.
You need support. What happens if you don't tell anybody, just to yourself?
You will find excuses not to do it.
You find excuses not to do it. Okay? So the first one is why, is internal. Right? If you are already doing the task because you have a big why, great. But to increase your chances to actually do what you want to do, you need also external. You need to set up an environment that works for that will support you to do that too. So you need to tell people and say, hey, I'm going to do this. Can you hold me accountable? That will increase your chance of actually following through and doing it. Yeah? Great. So these are the 5 hacks. Remember, the goal is to move quadrant number 2 to quadrant number 4 and do more quadrant number 3. So now, look at the triangle, not the triangle, the cross that you have, the quadrant that you have.
The quarter. Or the triangle.
Yes, however you want to look at it. So pick a task from quadrant number 2 or quadrant number 3. Yes, sorry. There you go. Pick one task from quadrant number 2 or quadrant number 3. Look at your paper, pick one. You guys got it? Yeah? Okay, great. So write down why that's important for you. I want you to write down why that task is important. Why you need to do it? Why do you want to do it?
Which quadrant?
Any quadrant, whatever is important for you. Like pick one task from quadrant number 2 or 3, and write down why that task is important for you. Got it? Number 2, what is a small action that you can take to actually do that? That will help you get closer to doing that. What's the smallest, easiest action that you can take? You guys okay with this one? Okay. The next one is the start time is now and the end time is gathering. So you're going to do this by the end of the gathering. Does it make sense? So think of some way of doing this task from now on until the end of the gathering. It's not forever, just from now to end of gathering. So that small thing that you're going to do. Does this make sense? Is this clear for you guys? Yes. Okay. For example, every time I see Judith, I learn a vocabulary. Every time I get a hug, I do X, Y, Z.
Speak to people, mutual speaking, mutual exchange program, like tandem. Speak to man, they want Chinese and you want to teach him, your language.
Okay, every time you speak with somebody, you do something small. Okay? Just for this gathering, yes?
Does it absolutely have to be for the duration of the gathering? Because I can't think of any task.
What is it? What task did you pick?
Learning word order.
Learning word order.
Yeah, that specific aspect of that.
Okay, well, a small thing that you can do is you have all these language learning experts here. Just ask about them. What's your best way to learn word order? Like, that's a small thing that you can do from the duration of this gathering. Does that make sense? If that's what you're interested in, I'm just giving you an example. Yeah? And the next thing is tied to an existing habit, which is like talking to somebody. Whenever you talk to somebody, you do X, or whenever you see somebody. So tie it to something that's is gonna happen within this gathering. All right. So I think all of you guys got it. So the next thing is tell the person next to you what that task is. All right. So go ahead. I'll give you 2 minutes to tell the person next to you what that task is. During this duration of this gathering, what you gonna do?
Well, his paper. I'm gonna look at vocabulary items that I find really difficult to remember because I can't think. So I'm gonna concentrate on one a day and write it down first, and then I'm gonna revise it one.
All right, switch. Once you finish, switch.
So come on, I'll be 4 more terms worth. Wow. What about you?
All right, finish up. All right. We all love to talk, huh? Yes. All right, finish up. Great. Okay. How is it? How is telling somebody what you're gonna do? How is it? Good? Perfect. But do you think it'll help with you holding you accountable? You actually gonna do it?
But we can do it.
Yeah, you can do it. And whenever you pass by that friend that you see, you're gonna like, you know, did you do that? Yes. Great. Great. And it feels good too, right? Just telling somebody and interacting with people. So we help each other. That's why it feels good. All right. So remember, our goal is to move number 2, something that's pleasant but not useful to something that's pleasant and useful, and do more of that. And if you do this, if you do these tasks, if you started to move these tasks and build your willpower one at a time, one task at a time, you're gonna have willpower in all areas of your life. Can you see that's possible? If you do this one at a time? No? Yes? Okay, good. And before you know it, then you can use this willpower to create the life that you love. Okay, so that's it. All right, before we go to questions, is it okay if we take a selfie together?
Yeah, collect a photo.
Because I don't know if anybody's taking photo in here, so I'm doing a talk, I can't take photos, so.
Collect a photo.
All right. You guys want to come join me? Come on. All right, perfect. Thank you for participating. So, questions. Where's the mic? The other mic. Question.
Can you give us an example of something that was unpleasant and that you made pleasant in your life? How did you do it actually? How did you convince yourself to transform an activity into an unpleasant activity into a pleasant one?
This is a great question. Because there's also another thing here, pointing, actually I had an arrow going from here to here, but I think that's just too much in the talk, so thank you for pointing out. How do you take this to here is, it's goal. If you can find a way to turn something that's not very pleasant for you but became useful, it's amazing. You can achieve amazing result with that. So any ideas? Yes?
You could actually look at in your mind the end result, what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And you can put yourself in that state of having done that, and how you're going to be once that has progressed to a point that you're sufficient in it. And that is one thing. It's something you look forward to.
Great.
Getting past this task.
Great. So what happens is when it's not pleasant, it's because you in your mind have some kind of perception about that task. And it's just a perception. So it is possible to create another perception, the end result of something that's pleasant, and continue to work your way into it. And eventually, if you continue to stop and think, okay, what kind of emotion and feeling you want to take that task, it will happen. It's possible to move tasks from the quadrant number 3 to quadrant number 4. Did I answer your question? So the task, so the trick is acknowledge The steps, let me give you the steps. Okay? The steps is acknowledge whatever unpleasant feeling that you have about the task. And it's okay. Don't push it aside. Don't oh, I don't want to feel this way. If you do that, it will just get stronger. So this is how you feel right now. And that's okay. You don't like this task. But I know this is very useful. Okay? Acknowledge how you feel. And then create how would this task help you into what you want to achieve. And also create a pleasant, what if I start enjoying speaking to somebody? And then practice, and then take action. And eventually you can move it to here. Something, there's a question back there first, yeah?
It wasn't a question, it was just to give another example of how to pass from something I don't like to something I like. It's also to focus on the goal and not on the path, because you can change the path and having the same goal achieved. For instance, if I don't like to do grammar, but I know it's useful, I would like to master the grammar rules, but the way I'm studying it, I don't like it, but I can change the way I'm studying things. I can turn it into games, for instance, so I can keep the same thing, the same goal achieved, so I will have the skill, but I'm not having this unpleasant time doing it.
Great. What you point out is that we are used to learning a certain way. We have some kind of set way to learn. And in that set way to learn, that's what gives us your unpleasant feeling. But is that the only way that you can learn something? There are 1,000,001 ways to learn something. So if you can actually think of, it's possible to actually, for me to learn it in a way that's pleasant for you and useful for you, it's possible. You can find it. So that's another way. Thank you.
Welcome.
Let's see. Another thing I want to say that's very important is that sometimes you don't have to force yourself to move here. If that's where you are right now, that's where you are right now. And sometimes in the journey, it could switch to something else because it's not fixed, right? So depending on your journey, you will change, you will evolve. That it could move to something else. So if you can't get it to number 4, that's okay. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Just continue to work, do action that's in this quadrant, and move these things, do more of these things, and then it will happen. Good? Yes?
Today we have several methods and other techniques of learning more languages, but we have some methods that I prefer, like Michel Thomas method, but there are also other programs to learn languages that are pleasant and useful, like Pimsleur and Rosetta Stone. But which one you recommend and think that are better for learning new language? When I want to learn a new language, somebody asks me, which method do you prefer, to learn the useful word, vocabulary, or the basic word, or which word you need to learn? For which purpose? Well, which method and which way you think it's pleasant and useful together?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
So when people join, you're asking me, yeah. I was talking here. So when people join the Add One Challenge, I don't tell them this is the way to learn. Why? Because everybody's at a different stage, everybody is a different level, and everybody learns differently. So it's kind of very inefficient if I tell you this is how you learn. What I tell you is that you need to learn how to explore so that you can find what's useful for you and fun for you. Explore how you can move from the quadrant number 3 to quadrant number 4. Because I can't tell you that. Your mom can't tell you that. Only you can. And how can you find out? It's through exploration and trying things out to what works for you. So if you don't know, try it. Try it for a little bit. Try it for a week to see what works for you. If it doesn't work, try something else. If it doesn't work, try something else. Something's got to work. Okay? Yes. Yes.
I guess for me, what works the best is turning the tasks that are pleasant but not useful to be pleasant and useful. So for example, if I waste so much time on Facebook, then I like the pages in my target language, and I ask the questions on the forum in my target language or whatever. And but still, I cannot find a way to go from 3 to 4, because but somehow in between, I guess it's only not work for grammar, but it works perfect for me from every kind of other activities, language activities, but just cannot find a way for grammar.
I understand. Maybe you don't need to learn grammar, or maybe it's not the right time, or maybe you can use one of those 5 hacks that I gave you to actually use it. Use a community, like not just you studying by yourself. There are many ways that I don't think you may not have tried. Okay, so but if you think about, I don't know how to answer this, because yeah, maybe that's okay. Great, keep moving to 4. And whatever you tried in the past is also in the past. Okay, you're not the same person as last week, right? So just because it's something that didn't work before doesn't mean it will never work again. So just keep trying. That's all there is to do. Keep exploring, keep trying, and then eventually you believe that it's gonna work sometime. Yes?
So I have a question. The 5 hacks that you gave us, would you say that those 5 hacks are things that work for everybody, or things that also work differently for different people? I mean, personally, I think that the hack about telling other people what you're planning to do is one that, for me personally, makes it less likely that I will do the thing.
Okay.
Do you have any experience of that sort of variation?
Yeah, well, whatever works for you. I mean, just the thing is, it's interesting to look into why you are adverse to it. So that's within you. So it's okay if that doesn't work for you. That's totally okay. But you want to look at why, because you're not tapping into telling other people to help you achieve your goal. Because yes, sometimes it's scary to tell people what you're going to do. What if you don't do it? I'll look like a failure. I'll look like a loser, or whatever, right? That's one side of it. But the other side of it is that other people can help you that beyond ways that you can imagine. So, inquire and try it out. Yes, she was asking. She had her hand raised first.
Thank you. My name is Antje. I think we all absolutely agree with everything you said, and I think all of us would like to move our tasks from either quadrant 2 to 4 or from 3 to 4. And I also agree that you say it's just the question of how to get there. And I think that's one of the points why we all are here, or what interests me most. What could be those ways? Because I want to try all of them in order to find the one that's working for me. Maybe to give an example, I like to learn languages with tandem partner, and I experienced that it's very hard to make that time efficient, because there's the big risk that you just end up talking in English about the topic that you're interested in, instead of really working on the languages. And it's just one example, so yes, this @1 challenge, for example, would be something I would like to learn more about, or to really use the time that we are here to share as many best practices as possible. And maybe you can give us one that worked for you.
One worked for me for what the best way to... Can you be a little more specific? I'm not really sure how to...
Yeah, I think the question has worked before. Just one example of a task that has been at quadrant 2 or 3 in your case.
Okay.
If you can think of one that you could successfully move over to quadrant 4.
Perfect, thank you. Got it. So how I started this journey is because I married an Austrian woman, and her father can't speak a word of English. And I don't, no offense, but I don't find German pleasant or useful at the time. Sorry, so just no offense. I love German people. you know, and the language and all that stuff like that. So that was in quadrant number 1. You see? So that's how I started the journey of the At One challenge, using the power of the community, using the power of all the hacks that I do, and try it out, and then move it to speaking, practicing, learning through with iTalk, or Tandem Partner, to be fun and meeting friends that speak German. So I can't really tell you the way. That's why in the At One challenge you explore for yourself, and more, because everybody is having the same goal in the 90 days. So whatever you go running through, somebody else is going to run through. So you share it, we all talk, and we all look at each other. So I can't really tell you a way, but it's possible for you to move. And just try one at a time. Remember what I said? I think this is very important. That we take it one task at a time, because there's so many things that we can try. There's so many things we can do. Which one do I do? Right? One at a time. Just like adding one language at a time. But most people don't want to do that here. Yes? Yes?
I just like to add, I'm Ray by the way, and I just like to add basically about what you said, because for me I'm studying Spanish and French at the moment. And Spanish is okay, my French still sucks. But I think it's just really for me, it's about knowing about yourself, basically. Socrates said, know thyself. So basically for me, I love watching movies, so I always watch Netflix. So to those of you who are using Netflix to watch, you can actually change the setting there. What I do is actually change the setting, because I normally spend my time, I kind of analyze what I'm actually doing a lot. So I like Facebooking and YouTube, and so as much possible, when I watch YouTube, for example, I always try to, because I love watching movies, so I kind of use that basically, and that's basically kind of helping me to learn, because you are already, because this is the thing that you like. You don't, it's like people, everybody wants, it's like an exercise as well. Everybody wants to be sexy, but nobody wants to do the exercise. I mean, if you can delegate it, of course, it will be very good.
But make me more sexy.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Same as well with language, I think. So at first it's quite hard because you're going to see a lot of difficulties there. But once you actually see the result, you know, sometimes you picture the result. Because once I started actually learning Spanish, I met a lot of Spanish people, some very wonderful, good-looking people around, and the Spanish paellas and tapas, so I really like it. So I'm still continue learning Spanish.
I get your why. Got it.
Yes, exactly.
That's it. Great. I think it's a very good to. The question is like, okay, how, where? This is why you do this exercise. To find out what you like and what you don't like. This is for you. That's why you do this exercise. To see what you like and what you don't like, what you like to do, and then see what you can learn from these the quadrant number 4. Okay, and then see how you can take it. Because right now, it's just like a world of mountains of stuff. You can't see clearly through that mountains. Which is why, but when you start writing it on paper, distinguishing, putting in the right quadrant, you're a little bit more clear, right? And then you can start picking one thing that you want to work on. And then you go from there. And you start exploring and playing. Okay? Yes, Chris?
Thanks a lot, Brian. Really timely for me. It seems like if we're not making progress, I'll speak for myself, with the times that I'm not making progress, it's because I'm avoiding this third quadrant here, right? And I'm just avoiding those things. And if I wasn't avoiding them, I would be making more progress. That's the whole reason that it's not happening. But it seems like in order to do more of this third quadrant, you need some kind of initial grit. You need something that's just going to make you like, I'm going to brute force my way into these things that I've been avoiding because it's not pleasant. A lot of us here study languages because it's pleasant. Some part of it is pleasant, otherwise we wouldn't be doing it at all.
Yeah.
So the right side, 2 and 4, I'm not too concerned about. It's more this initial kind of being pushed to do the things I'm always avoiding that are preventing progress in the first place. So is there something you can tell us about this initial grit that you need to like just do it?
Yeah, sign up for the At One challenge. I know, but it sounds fun. But that's what it does. You're declaring and telling everybody all those 5 hacks is in the At One challenge. You need to make a video and tell people what you're gonna do, right? So I mean, what else? I don't know. I can't really think of any other way to have that like push with you declaring and telling people this is what you're gonna do. If you don't do it, you have a punishment or reward or something like that, which is integrated in that one challenge. How else? I can't really think of anything else. That's why I did it, because I was in the quadrant number 1, remember? Right? That's why I created for myself, and I can see it helped me so much, and I can also help other people with it.
Thanks.
Yes.
So I'm a classical musician, and a lot of what we do is in quadrant 3.
Yeah.
The truth is we can't avoid it, and I think that's exactly what he's saying is we always do number 2. Yeah. As a classical musician, we know we have to play our skills. Yes. There's no way around it, unfortunately. If there was a limitless pill, we'd all have it by now. Yeah. But what the problem is, we are always doing number 2, pleasant. What we do is we just play our pieces from beginning to end, beginning to end, beginning to end. Yeah. And it makes us feel good because we go, oh, I can play this. But the truth is, if you don't practice your scales, you can't have that scale passage in your... Yeah. But the end goal is number 4. We don't see number 4 until months and months later. So do that one challenge.
Another one participant. Thank you. Yes, you have to pick somebody.
I may add from myself, like from my experience is always like if you set the clear target, like you said at the beginning, you knew that you go to Japan to travel, and that's like force you to learn. So I made the same with Chinese. Actually, I booked the ticket, and I really didn't want to learn it because it was so hard at the beginning. Yeah. And oh shit, I will be there with probably nobody speaks English or whatever, what I'm going to do.
Great.
And that really motivated me. And the same happens like with running. I signed up for half marathon and I never liked it. Running, never find it useful nor pleasant. But at the moment I started and I found it really useful to build up my condition. And,
great.
By the way, it became pleasant. So
great.
Just like
that's what happens.
Direct from first to fourth.
Great.
Yeah, for me.
There's so many trains now.
Yeah, but it's like for me, it's like target setting is the most important point that's the thing. So if it's really important for you, you will find a way how to make it work.
So what you did was you put yourself in an environment to kick yourself in the butt to actually do it.
Yeah,
like you buy a ticket. Once you buy a ticket, your future change.
Yeah.
Like how you see it change. The moment you press buy, confirm, your future change. Oh crap, I'm going to China. I'm actually going. So your future change in that moment. In that moment, how you view learning Chinese change. That's when it starts. So you put yourself, and nobody can do that for you.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to do it for yourself.
Exactly.
So put yourself environment to actually kick yourself in the butt, however way you do it.
Actually, I think it's like more like making not pleasant thing less not pleasant than the future that will be without this knowing skills. So like learning Chinese might not be pleasant, but it's less much pleasure to not be speaking Chinese in China.
Totally.
But like putting some time and really invest it, and it's not pleasant, but it's less not pleasant than
So totally. So exactly, you put yourself in that situation. And for me, when I first learned German to speak with my father-in-law, my not pleasant thing is to wash his toilet for a week. So it's very, very not pleasant for me to. I think speaking German with him is more pleasant than washing his toilet. So whenever I don't want to study, I think about his toilet and him. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna study. So it's so unpleasant that I'm actually gonna do it, right? So I put myself in that position. Nobody told me to do that, right? So you gotta do it for yourself. Okay? Leandro?
do you have any plans to expand this to other areas?
Since sounds like this is applicable to anything in general, so what are your future plans for At1 Challenge?
Yes, the immediate future plans, I actually haven't told anybody yet, but the next plan is to run At1 writing. Like writing Chinese character or writing Japanese character in 90 days together. So that's the next challenge that we're going to create.
Now you gotta do it.
Yeah, what do you guys think? If you guys like writing, of course, if you don't like writing, then it's okay. No? You guys understand what I'm saying? Yes. Okay. Because it's hard. Writing, I remember when I was learning how to write Chinese, I was like, you know, writing the same thing over and over again. I was like 5 years old, right? And it's hard, a lot of time and a lot of work to do it. So it's a lot more fun to do it in a group of people than do it by yourself. So that's the next plan. Thank you for asking. Okay? Any other question? Yes?
Well, it's not really a question, but I think over time, the number 3 moved to number 4, because usually what is not pleasant is something that we don't really grab, and then we don't like it because we cannot do it properly. But over time, because we start to be able either to talk or to read, we start to find it pleasant. So there is a natural move from 3 to 4. And coming back to what you say about the language partner, I have the same in Chinese. My first language partner, I start, and I had nearly no knowledge of Chinese, so we start in English. And over time we continue in English because I didn't want to talk. I mean, I just didn't want. It was not pleasant for me to talk. I love reading Chinese, but I don't like to talk because I cannot. And then I start with Italki, and the first thing I said to the teacher, I don't want one word of English, and I wrote it myself. And from this point on, I was stuck to what I wrote. So the first half an hour training lessons was a nightmare, and I really had to say, bloody hell, why did I write this? Why did I say I'm not going to speak English? And over time, now it's months, and now I find it pleasant to speak only Chinese, although it's still very bumpy. But I made it because I forced myself not to start again like I've done with the first language partner, which was using English. So yeah, it was not pleasant, I can tell you. Sometimes it's still not, but
I understand.
It's moving there.
Great, and that shift, 2 things that made it happen. One is you put yourself in a position and say no English. The second thing is that help you move from a quadrant number 3 to number 4 is action. That's the only way. You taking action. If you don't practice, you never move anywhere. So which is why you do small action to build your willpower. So do you actually force yourself to do it with all these hacks to actually help you actually do it, right? Because it will change. It will not stay there forever if you keep working on it. Yes, Momo? We gotta go. Oh, wow.
Last selfie, please. Selfie.
Last selfie. All right. So talk's finished. Thank you, everybody. All right.